after giving the Kansas City Chiefs the Christmas Day gift of a 29-10 victory and allowing them to be the number one seed in the playoffs. Officially, we have dropped to the 5th seed. The Ravens are pretty much poised to run away with the division. Lou, we're going into this Bengals game. The Bengals need it all. Not much changes for us, really, no matter what happens.
It really does, though. Because if you lose and the Chargers win, you go to Baltimore instead of going to Houston.
Welcome to Six Rings and Counting. I'm your host, Corey Idle, and joining me to answer the myriad questions I have about this coaching staff is my friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lou Willard. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot. Also, the only official two-time champion in the illustrious, the magnanimous Mr. Lou Willard. Champ, how we feeling today?
Man, you know what? I'm a little sore. I thought it was going to be a tough game, but it wasn't. But I'm still a little sore because I'm old.
Yeah, I understand.
I expected my old co-host to give me a little bit of competition.
Dude. But
I'm beating him by 106 points. He got golf or has golf and St. Brown and a kicker and a defense or something like that. I still got George Kittle, man. Man, this thing is way over. Two-time champ.
All a wrap. I'm going to die if he beats you by a decimal point.
All right. Boy, this show's over if that happens.
Oh, yeah, because you will literally kill everyone. That being said.
That would be the bad beat of all bad beats.
Oh, yeah. It just wasn't ever meant to be.
I may never play again.
And somebody just playing with you.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that and the anemic offense that your fantasy opponent is putting up. We're here to talk about the anemic offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the final game of the season against the Cincinnati Bengals after giving the Kansas City Chiefs the Christmas Day gift of a 29-10 victory and allowing them to be the number one seed in the playoffs. Officially, we have dropped to the 5th seed. The Ravens are pretty much poised to run away with the division. Lou, we're going into this Bengals game. The Bengals need it all. Not much changes for us, really, no matter what happens.
It really does, though. Because if you lose and the Chargers win, you go to Baltimore instead of going to Houston.
That's fair.
So the game is just as big for Pittsburgh as it is for Cincinnati. And Cincinnati has to win and still get help. But Kansas City's not playing anybody, so Denver should be able to beat them, and that should just close that whole thing out. So Cincinnati and Miami are done for all intents and purposes. But
yeah,
you never know. Kansas City with Carson Wentz as a backup could still beat Denver, though, because they're still formidable.
And they still got the refs on the field. I didn't think they were sitting the refs this week, so that's going to help.
You know, they did. That's true, but they didn't get all the calls against Pittsburgh. They had 9 penalties. Pittsburgh only had 4. I can tell you where this game was lost at. We turned it over twice, and they didn't turn it over. And in the red zone, we were 1 for 4. They were 4 for 5. Ball game.
Yep.
Good night, Irene. The game is over. Fat lady can start singing. We had the ball to start the fourth quarter down 16-10, and we got the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You don't score or turn it over. I forget what happened, but the bottom line is you didn't score. Go back another week. We're down 17-10 against the Ravens. Pitch it to Najee. We're driving. Najee fumbles the ball.
Yep.
Go back the week before. It's the Eagles. We're down 7 with the ball. Turn it over. And then against the Ravens again, we're still down 7. Pick 6.
That leads me to this question.
Yeah.
And you might have been just getting ready to answer that when I interrupted you, but I've been dying to ask you this question since this game. This falls on coaching, does it not? when these little things just happen over and over, that's not bad luck that you fumbled. Maybe one time you fumbled. Okay, bad luck. Russ is just tossing an interception a game. Can't have that. On a 3-game losing streak against the 3 teams we've lost to, you can't do that.
No, you can't.
Which are all, by the way, I understand there's 3 of the best teams in the league: Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs.
But you still can't turn. That's why you can't turn the ball over.
That's it. And if you want to pretend like we're about to change the name of this show to 7 Rings and Counting, you can't do this. This is just the offense in particular. I don't blame the defense because the defense has been on the field almost the entire second half of the last 3 games. So
because of turnovers.
Exactly. So with the offense, and I know we harp on Arthur Smith, we do this, yada, yada, yada. I think there is a legitimate, all jokes aside, coaching problem. The plays are not inventive.
Where do you see that coaching problem at?
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure, but this is what I'm seeing on the field. And this is where I would look to you to maybe help me either readjust my opinion or confirm it. I'm seeing there's no, I don't even know how to describe it, sense of urgency for the offense. It seems like a very laissez-faire offense, very basic bitch, if you will.
Okay. Yeah.
There's, for an offensive guru, there's not a lot of guruing going on there. It's run, pass, pass, run. It just, there's nothing. Then you add in the turnovers, which are just compiling every week.
For me, you can stop right there because that's not coaching. Mm-hmm. That's player accountability. We trust you with the ball. Quit turning it over. Arthur Smith didn't throw the ball. Arthur Smith didn't fumble the ball. Okay. And you're talking about the Chiefs, right? Mm-hmm. They say the Chiefs have what? The number 1 or number 2 defense in the NFL? Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh ran for over 200 yards on them. Mm-hmm. Controlled the time of possession. They won time of possession by 3 minutes. That to me is a sign of coaching, that we schematically put those players in a position to win. The players fumbled the ball and turned the ball over. Okay. Now, we could question certain play calls in certain situations, but Russ tripping and fumbling the ball, that Arthur Smith that had nothing to do with him.
Sure.
You know, the interception, nothing to do with him. You know, can we get more targets to George Pickens? Absolutely. That's where I would blame the coaching at. The ball has to go to your more dynamic players, which they did that. Jaylen Warren had his best game of the year. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh had 50% third down completion or conversion rate. Mm-hmm. There's no way if you look at these stats that you think the score would be flipped.
Well, and see, I guess this is what my issue is, because this is, and I'm not making any kind of statement politically here. I'm just simply using this as an example, not saying anything either way. But that's what you're telling me is, yeah, we lost the election, but we won the moral victory. I don't care what these stats say. I don't care about the position you're put in. You're scoring 10 points a game. And if you're telling me that this is on Russell Wilson and offensive linemen and shit like that, then Omar Khan made the biggest mistake of any GM. I don't care how much he cost all season, because he kept our future quarterback off the field. Russ should not be on the field. And then again, I go back to coaching.
That's we're debating 2 different points. Because if you say, I'm telling you that that's exactly what I'm telling you. I'm telling you the players can't turn the ball over.
Sure.
That they cannot turn the ball over. But when you're coaching them up to put up 354 yards or whatever it was, total yards against the league's best defense, that's a great game plan. They can't turn the ball over. You got to schematically, you got to hold on to the ball. And if you do, you put points on the board. We keep turning it over. That's why when we started, I went back to the Eagles game, down 7, fumble, then a pick 6. No, I'm sorry, fumble. Ravens game, down 7, pick 6, 14-point swing. And then this game got the ball down 6 going into the 4th quarter, and you don't get it done. You don't produce because you turn the ball over. You didn't produce because we ran it up the middle 3 times and punted. You didn't get it done because you turned it over.
Right.
Quit turning the ball over. So now you could blame coaching and say, then why don't you give Justin Fields a chance? Well, he wasn't active the last game because of his oblique.
Yeah.
But what's the excuse to 2 weeks before that? Because the turnovers were still happening. Why didn't Jalen Warren play more than 2 weeks before that? Because Najee fumbled the ball. Now, granted, the man fumbled the ball once in 600 carries. I mean, okay. Sure. But you fumbled. But why aren't we getting Jalen Warren more activated, more active in the game plan? Why aren't we figuring out ways to get Pickens the ball? I don't care if it's a 2-yard route. Snap it and throw it to him. Just get it in his hands. We got to figure – that's where the coaching aspect comes in. But as far as this game plan was, that I know I don't take moral victories, but I'm just looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
It's hard to criticize the game plan when you see so many yards and you see 50% third down conversions. Like, what else can the coaches do besides make these fools hold the ball?
No, I understand.
See, that's where you go defensively. I looked at it and I said, how many times are we going to let Mahomes throw a 5-yard pass? Why are they? My problem with this game was Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator. I'm going scoot up. They're not going to run by you. Scoot up. We're so far back off of them. And at the snap of the ball, we're bailing out. They run 6 yards, turn around, catch the ball. That was the problem. I mean, can we stop some of that?
I guess.
And so they got to figure. See, the problem is winning is a habit like losing is.
Sure.
They're in a funk right now. They have to beat the Bengals. Period. The end. If they don't, they're going to go to Houston and get smacked. Or Baltimore and get run out the gym.
Yep.
That's the bottom. You got to win this game to get that feeling back. Because they're right there, but right there ain't getting it. Right there don't get you any trophies. It don't get you any wins.
No.
Because they got to learn to close. They can't close these games. And then it snowballs.
I guess that's my biggest issue here and why I am so unbelievably frustrated with this team is we started the season off okay. Wasn't great. 18 points, 13 points, 20 points. Okay, we're getting up there. 24 points in a loss. We're getting up there. 32 points. We're competing at a current NFL level. And the regression since, I don't know, really the Commanders game is crazy. We've had one, what I would say, big scoring game, which was the former Bengals game.
Yeah, and that's my point. Now go look at the turnovers in all those games. You saw
100%.
Pittsburgh never turned the ball over, never turned it over. All of a sudden, 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers. There's your difference. There's your difference in the score.
Where do you fix that? And I understand the Najee fumble and somebody tripping off a center. Fine. Those things happen every now and again. They're just happen to be happening all at the same time for us. That being said, the interceptions, that's a different story. These aren't like whoops-a-daisy interceptions. Dude's throwing some bad balls right now.
Yeah, he's got to calm himself down.
I don't care if it's one. How do you fix it, though? It's easy to say, okay, Russ, you got to calm down. How does he calm down? How do you, as a player,
Russ has been
just quit this?
Russ has a Super Bowl ring. He's been to another one. He should have, too. I don't know why they didn't give Marshawn Lynch the ball, but that's beside the point. But nonetheless, he's got to be the professional that they brought him in to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing they can tell him. I mean, he's been in this league 9 or 10 years.
Sure.
It's like, man, settle down, trust your eyes, and you get in a pickle. If you're going to throw an interception, it better be because you're throwing that motherfucker to, excuse my language, YouTube or whatever. But it better be because you're throwing the ball to George Pickens, not because you're trying to force a pass into Van Jefferson. If you're going to mess up doing something. Throwing a pick chart because you're trying to force it to Van Jefferson is not doing something. I'd rather see you throwing the double coverage to Pickens than to get picked off. At least we know you're trying to get our best player the ball.
Right.
So he's got to get back. And, people, we told you he was washed up. Okay, is he? Right now, how you want me to argue for you, man? Because people asked me the other day, I talked to all my buddies over the UPS, man, what you think? You think they should start Justin Fields? I said, no. And I still don't. Because if they were going to, they would have done it. Now, and I do think he should have 2 or 3 packages. I understand why he didn't last week because he was hurt. But come playoff time, there's got to be a situation where he gets 2 or 3 drives and they work a different package out for him to keep teams off balance. Because at that point, you ain't saving nobody for nothing. If you got a uniform on, you playing because it's one and done at that point in time. Everybody's is win or go home. So Russ has got to get his act together, or they're going to have to. If this happens in the playoffs, they got to pull him and stick Justin Fields in because you go home if you lose.
You have to. If you're completing 23 passes and your total yards is 205, that's insane. And
because he's checking the ball down too much instead of driving the ball. And by checking it down, he's still throwing picks. So if you're going to throw him 40 yards down the field. At least we know you're trying to drive the ball. But the good thing for Pittsburgh, they have to win this game because they go to Houston, and the only quarterback that's in these playoffs playing worse than Russ right now is C.J. Stroud.
That's right. So
at least you go over there, and we can give that kid the blues because their offensive line. I might get a sack on them. At this point, I'm 51 years old. They ain't blocking nobody. I mean, they ain't blocking nobody.
And they got no receivers left. Yeah.
So Pittsburgh has to win this game Saturday night at 8:00. They win, they go to Houston. Unless the Browns pull a miracle, which they can't score 3 points on the hapless Dolphins. So how are they going to go beat Baltimore? If Baltimore plays their backups, they're not beating Baltimore in Baltimore.
Can I ask you a question? From a professional standpoint, purely. What exactly is the point of Van Jefferson and Mike Williams at this point?
Roman Wilson never got healthy, so he's not out there.
But I mean, for 0 catches on 0 targets or 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns, for two of our starting receivers, I'm good. Throw me out there. I'll put up that number.
That's my point. There's nobody to put out there. I think they should play Calvin Austin in 15 along with George Pickens and let those two spell them when they get tired.
There you go.
Because Mike Williams just said, and I thought he would do something. He had the one game winning catch, but I mean, maybe it's a lack of targets. I don't know. Maybe they're not scheming him up enough because at this point you have to know the offense. You've been there long enough.
Sure.
You've been there long enough to know at least 30, 35 plays solid. That the hell you only running. I mean, Pittsburgh ran more plays than the Chiefs did this week, but at the end of the day, you should be able to be out there for 30 good plays that and produce me something. Give me a PI. I think he's drawn 1 PI and he has 1 touchdown since they've got me. Van Jefferson, I don't know. He has a touchdown, but I don't know what he does. But they need to go. You're going to go out there with them kids.
Does this all come back with their lack of production? Like we just said, Russ has to produce. He's got to calm down. He's checking down too much. Is that on Russ, or is it maybe 2 of his 3 receivers can't get open and his number 1 is constantly covered or double covered?
It's a combination. It's a combination of the 2, but the biggest part of it is the dudes aren't getting open. When you watch the all 22, and I'm like, man, throw the ball, Russ. He take a sack. Then I look at it and I'm like, shit, ain't nobody open. Where's he going to throw it? And he's not the runner he used to be. Okay, 36 years old. He's running enough, but he's not Justin Fields. And if he can't throw him open, Justin Fields damn sure can't throw him open right now.
Right.
That's why he's there learning. So everybody's clamoring for him right now. No, he's learning. Trust me, if they were open, Russ would hit him.
Let me ask you.
Look at his numbers on the bad Denver team last year before they benched him. He's 26 TDs, 8 picks. He can get it. You get open, he'll get you the ball. That's why I say Calvin Austin looks great. So the more he keeps going, and Pickens, put 15. What's his name? Skorenzik? However you say his name.
Yeah.
Put him in the game. Now you got 3 dudes that can get open. Other 2 dudes just ain't getting open.
Would you? I'm asking this question for all of the stupid fans out there, all of the Twitter fans. Would this team be in the same position they are right now?
No.
You know what I'm going to ask?
If Justin Fields had been quarterbacking all year.
No. Different question, but same track. If Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph had been our
Oh, God, no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Ain't no way. And excuse me. And I say that about Fields just because of the difficulty of the schedule too. He hits you more with his legs, but I guess I should change my mind and say, yeah, because we'd have lost the same games. Now, would we have been down by a score with a chance to tie or take a lead if Fields was playing? I'm not so sure on the last 3 games.
Right. Because could you have put up 44 points against the Bengals with Justin Fields playing?
No, because of the play calling. That's where I would have an issue with the play calling, because they're going to call different plays because they don't trust him to sling the ball around like they trust Russ to sling it around.
Right.
So it's a different set of plays. Totally different scheme, which it should not be. Justin Fields can throw. Nobody in the league wants to give him a chance to throw because he runs a 4.40. Well, he's not a tailback. He's a quarterback. Let him throw. He ain't gonna throw the ball. He ain't gonna throw that many interceptions. Russ throwing some. Mm-hmm. So if he does hit the field, let him throw the ball.
Can't be any worse. It really can't. What do you see, real quick? I want to get into this Bengals game very fast, and then I want to get a little bit more into the playoffs before we are out of here. Joe Burrow is just putting up. I mean, if it wasn't for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, you'd say Joe Burrow's the MVP of the league.
He is. He got better numbers anyway. I mean, he's the first quarterback in history to go this many games in a row with 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards. There's no question. But, they're only going to say because they didn't make the playoffs, he can't win it.
With them needing this win, regardless.
He doesn't play defense.
Exactly. Regardless of what, and their defense is playing a lot better too, by the way. They've gotten back some starters. Their secondary's really caught on to the scheme. It seems like they're playing much better. But from the offensive standpoint, which is what you got to stop if you're going to beat the Bengals, you got to stop them at least 2 or 3 times in a game.
Yeah.
How do you approach this if you have our DBs all in? If you don't have our DBs all in, do you just hang on like it's a roller coaster and hope for the best?
I mean, what you have to do is try to force them to actually run the ball. Mm-hmm. Because that speeds the game up. You have to run it to keep them off the field. That's the easiest answer. Nobody listening to the show needs me to tell them that Pittsburgh runs the ball, Cincinnati can't get it back. But if you're talking about stopping them, you have to take away Higgins. You have to take one of them can eat, the other one can't.
Right.
If you let both them fools loose, you might as well. That's why nobody wants Cincinnati playoffs. Mm-hmm. Because nobody wants to play that offense. I mean, it's going to take Pittsburgh 30-plus points to win this week, because Cincinnati traditionally will beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. We talked about this at the beginning of the year when we did all the shows at the beginning.
Yep.
They typically win in Pittsburgh. So it's going to be a hell of a game Saturday night, and Pittsburgh is going to have to put Porter on Higgins and double chase and let somebody else deal with it. But we got to put all kind of pressure on Macaulay Culkin. We're going to have to pressure his ass from the word go and just keep putting hands on him, knocking him down, because he's even started running more. That's the last thing anybody wanted to see, is this fool take off running, because it's hard enough to guard him on the back end. And Mike Brown paid them receivers, man. Never mind, a different story. He about to lose both these dudes. But you gave the quarterback $275. He ain't going to have nobody to throw to.
This is a Steelers show. Lose those receivers. I'm fine with it. We handle them all the time. Take that Lamar guy out of Baltimore too. Damn,
we handle them all the time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all good. But no, we're going to have to force Chase Brown, not Jamar Chase, but Chase Brown, to have 20-plus carries. If you can do that, even though that means they're having a pretty good day because they're running the ball on you, and they're not throwing it down the field in chunks on you.
How do you set that up schematically? Do you add an extra safety in there?
You gotta completely bracket the receivers and just show them that he got to check to a run. That's the easiest way to explain it without getting the chalkboard out. You got to bracket the receivers and show them that we got one guy on your running back. The rest of them are bracketed. And that's a run situation all day because then you're relying on your running back to win that matchup.
And so either if they run or they don't see it, they end up checking down to a pass. You're simply basically relying on your front guys on the defensive line to get that pressure.
And the one linebacker to make a tackle. Like you have to be gap sound as a lineman. And as a linebacker, you have to tackle. If you don't, that scheme got to go. And you just got to rely on the zone. You got to rely on the zone. Because you can't guard them. Pittsburgh was traditionally a zone team anyway, but you can't run with those guys, man. Nobody can all game long. No, they wear you out. They're just too good.
Yeah, I know. Look, I know the receiving core of Pickens, Jefferson, and Williams puts a lot of fear into people. But let me tell you, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and this ayahuasca kid or whatever his name is, are damn good.
I can pronounce his name, but can't pronounce our own guy's name. But yeah, that's what you're gonna have to do. I mean, it's no secret. If T. Higgins and Jamar Chase go off, you can forget it. You can forget it. So you gotta bottle up 9 and keep hitting him, and you gotta force 30 to have a big game. You know, if it's in his hands, I trust it in his hands better than I'd rather he have a big game than these two fools on the outside because they'll score quick. Now 30 bust out. If Chase Brown gets loose, he's gone. He's like Jaylen Warren, he's gone.
Yeah.
But if these two fools on the outside get any kind of room, they'll score in 6 seconds. They'll put a 90-yard drive, 2 plays, and 15 seconds on you. Boom, done.
Give me your prediction.
You got to keep them under control. No, I'm just saying you got to keep them under control.
Give me your scoring prediction for this game, and then I want to ask you one question about the playoffs, and we'll get out of here.
Okay, I'll say Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's going to score on them. So it'll be Pittsburgh 31-27, because you're going to have to.
Okay. I like it. I think that's a great score. I think it's actually going to be a little more low scoring. I am going to go Pittsburgh 27. What'd you say?
31-27.
I'll say Pittsburgh 27, Cincinnati 24.
Yeah, I can see it.
I think it's a dead heat right up until Chris Boswell hits that game-winning field goal. As far as the playoffs
the good thing is, the lower the score, the better chance Pittsburgh has of winning it.
100%. 100%. With the playoffs coming up, we know we're in. That's not a question. I have this nagging feeling in the back of my head, and this is just me, a little more fatalistic. But am I crazy to think this team right now looks like another just one-and-done team?
No, that's exactly what they look like right now. But it's funny because I watch every game 3 times before we do this show. I watch it live, then I'll go back and rewatch it twice. And that's why I'm more optimistic because I see how close we are, but yet how far away we are. That's to your point. One and done. And that's what I was saying. If we can't clean this mess up Saturday night, we go to Houston, as bad as they're playing, you're going to lose an ugly 12-9 game. An ugly 12-9 game. Then we got to hear Fire Tomlin all over again. Now, you clean this up and beat Cincinnati. I don't care if you beat them by 1. I don't care if it's 9-6 or 49-42. You need that winning feeling back going into this playoff game. And then if Pittsburgh wins the first playoff game against Houston, your whole attitude changes about that because you're not afraid to go watch them play anybody. I've watched all 3 of those last games a total of 9 times, and I'll be damned. It looks like blowouts, but when you look at numbers and watch the game, you go, this is where the game swung. It's all momentum. We're going to score. Fumble, going to score, pick 6, 14-point swing. Oh, you lost by 17. Yeah, 14 of those was on 1 play. You know, we have a field goal blocked. I mean, silly shit that this wasn't happening at the beginning of the year. And everybody, well, it's 3 games in 11 days. All 3 of those teams played 3 games in 11 days. Baltimore did, Kansas City did, Philly didn't, but we didn't either. That was the first one. They had just as much rest as we did. So did the other two teams. So it was all square.
I tell you what this team makes me feel like, and we'll get out of here. You ever seen those videos where a kid is opening up his present on Christmas and he gets like the PlayStation box or the iPhone box and he gets all excited and he opens it up and it's like this little Fisher-Price thing that's basically one of those.
It's the Atari 2600.
Yeah. And he just that's what I feel like. We got this big shiny present. I was so hyped for this season, and right now I'm just looking like I opened up a box of coal. Like, what in the hell?
Right now, you to the point, you look to me like you're just trying to hold on. Like, man, come on.
The fact that I made it through this show without saying the F word and you did is a testament to me keeping it together right now.
Because I get a little too passionate, but I'm still not afraid to go play anybody in the playoffs.
And that's what it means to be a Steelers fan. For Lou Willard, I'm Corey Idle. This is Six Rings and Counting. We'll see you in the playoffs, kids.